Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a great day so far and welcome to today's video, which is going to be my July monthly roundup where I share all of my thoughts on everything that I tried new to me in the month of July. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so it's been a couple of months, I think, since I included a book because I had a little bit of a break after my holiday when I read like 6 books in a week. I then had a couple of weeks not reading, and then I picked up this Stephen King book, The Institute, and although it doesn't look that long, look at the size of the writing. I'm sorry, do I have the eyeballs of an ant? No, I don't. So this is a lot longer than I think they've tricked you into believing it is, because the writing is for borrowers, all right? It's teeny tiny writing, which I didn't appreciate, all right? It almost made me go back to my Kindle. But tiny writing aside, this was a great read in classical Stephen King fashion. The middle section, so I would say this book, it's kind of, I think of it in thirds. There's a before the Institute, an at the Institute, and then a kind of, you know, the conclusion part. The middle part of this book, as per the usual with Stephen King, could have been half as long, in my opinion. The middle bit, oh, it dragged. It dragged. It was very slow. I felt like so many chapters or pages were unnecessary. It was very repetitive. It could have been half as long and we wouldn't have missed out on anything. I feel like that's such a Stephen King thing to do. The man just has too many thoughts in his head and he shares every one of them with us, and sometimes it's too many thoughts. We could have, you know, maybe we could have done like this, got rid of this much, and it would have been a 10 out of 10. Okay, so without spoilers, a brief synopsis of the book. It's about an institute. You'd never have guessed it. And at this institute, children are taken there who have some kind of special ability, and the institute are sort of testing them. We don't know why. The majority of the book, we don't know why, we don't know what they're testing them for, we don't know what they're up to, but a lot of children are taken to this institute and there are tests being run on them. They don't really know why they're there or what's going on, and neither do we for a long time. A long time. Long. So that's kind of the maximum amount that I want to tell you without sort of spoiling anything or giving anything away. I loved it. Once we got through the really draggy bit in the middle, the beginning and the after the dragging was amazing, gripping, so interesting as always, fascinating storyline, real thought-provoking storyline in here, really great ending, a lot to think about. I loved it. I wish it was 4 chapters gone from the middle. It would have been perfect, but I loved it nonetheless. And next up we have She Started It by Sian Gilbert. This is her debut novel, and I'm gonna need her to give us some more pretty rapidly, okay? This was very kindly gifted to me by one of my Instagram friends because she just knew that I would enjoy it. And I was not sure. I was not sure because I feel like there's a bit of a cover to this book. It's almost like you think it's going to be like a classic chick lit. The opening, it's kind of giving a group of women, a group of friends. It's going to be like, you know, a romance novel or a chick lit book, which is not my thing at all. But it's got so many layers, and you just start to slowly peel the layers back and it turns into this roller coaster thriller murder mystery, but with still a lot of like feminine energy to it and story to it, but with so many like dark secrets coming out. So again, without giving you any spoilers, this book it focuses on 5 women and it's told from the perspective of all 5 women. So each chapter it kind of flips back and forth to which woman we are hearing from, which woman's perspective we're currently experiencing, which I love because it was never dull and you get to know all of the characters from like first person perspective, which I really loved. So 4 of these women were childhood bezies at school, secondary school, a group of 4 girls who were all best friends, and as they've grown up and become adults, they have still remained kind of frenemies, let's say. And then there's Poppy. So Poppy was bullied mercilessly by these 4 girls at school. And out of the blue, they haven't heard from Poppy since they all left school and grew up and became adults. Out of the blue, Poppy invites them all to her hen party. And not only that, she's asking all 4 of these women to be her bridesmaids. And the hen party is on a desert island, a private island party for like a few days. She's flying them out first class, an offer they can't resist. But of course, there's more to it than that. And there's many, many secrets among these women, and nobody knows why Poppy wants to be friends with them now after everything they did to her. And it is, you think it's obvious and it's going in a direction, but oh, there were some twists and some turns and some juice in this book. I loved it. I read it in like 2.5 days. I need more, Sian Gilbert. Get writing, please, I beg you. So another couple of non-makeup items that I want to share with you this month. First up, this dressing brush, is that what they're called? This is by Emijay. I got this from Revolve. So this is one of these dressing brushes. I have had my eye on wanting one of these for a long time. I see people, whenever people are doing like slick back buns, sleek ponies on the TikTok, this is what they're using, and I've been intrigued. Like, do I need this? Is it going to be any different to using a comb? And I love it, okay? I think I was waiting for one to come along that was as beautiful as this, and it has this stunning pink marble glittery little touch on the handle, which won me over. You see that? I'm very easily lured in by the pretty things. So I grabbed it as soon as I saw it, and let me tell you, it does make a difference. I don't know the sorcery here. I don't know the science behind these brushes, but it somehow does really smooth your hair and leave a stunning like shine to it, more so than using a regular comb. I don't know, it's a mystery, but it really is very good at smoothing and slicking back if you're going for a slick bun or a slick pony, especially with a little bit of gel. It really helps get everything super slick and smooth, which I was really impressed by. So if you haven't tried one of those brushes, give it a go. If you know the science, tell us, because I try to learn new things, you know. Another couple of more skincare items before we dive into all of the makeup from this month. First up, Fenty Beauty sent me their Plush Puddin. I love the names Fenty comes up with. Anybody else? So this is a, can't stop sniffing everything. I just love to smell stuff. It smells like sweeties, okay? Glorious, like hard-boiled sweets. I can't get enough. This is a lip mask, really beautiful. It's got a apparently Barbados cherry kind of color and texture to it, but it's very sheer. I've worn this overnight and I really enjoy it. I prefer it during the day because it just has a little bit of that sort of cherry color to it. And so if I'm not wearing makeup, I'm just going to go out my day, or I'm doing very minimal makeup, it's just a little tiny bit of color. It feels so lovely on the lips, and the smell is delightful. So I've been really enjoying that, and I love the packaging. It's super compact, perfect for your handbag, but easy if you're like rooting about. I have about 16 lipsticks or lip products in my handbag, and so if I'm rooting about, I can find this one and know straight away it's not one of my lip glosses or lipsticks, which I really like because it is just that little bit different of a shape. I don't know if that's a me problem or anyone else on earth has it, but I thought I'd throw that out there. And finally, something bonkers happened to me this month that I never foresaw coming. In 2024, I found a new favourite cleansing balm. I know, you can't believe it, can you? You can't Adam and Eve it, but it's true. My favourite cleansing, like makeup removing balm for years now has been the Pharmacy Beauty one. And don't get me wrong, I still love you, Pharmacy Beauty. I still love that one. But this month, I tried the Alpha H one. This is the Melting Moment Cleansing Balm. One, I think it's got Pharmacy beaten just on the smell. And the other reason why I love this one is it's a bit softer of a texture. So it kind of is easier to use less and get just as effective of a removal of your makeup. It's just as gentle. It doesn't sting my eyes. I can literally massage it into my eyeballs trying to get my mascara off, and it doesn't sting. It doesn't have any unpleasantness to it if you do get it in your eyes. The smell is delightful. It just smells of glorious, luxurious spa. The texture is lovely, and like I said, I feel like I use less to have just as effective of a removal process. This was gifted, but not by Alpha H. I think it was maybe in my Caroline Hirons skincare set. I can't remember where this came from, but I'm glad it did come. That's all I have to say, because it's my new favorite. I love it. It's so good. It gets every scrap of makeup off like a dream, and it's a treat to the nasal passages. What more could you want? Next up, if you were paying attention, if you're an MVP this month, you will know that I did a full face testing Bobbi Brown makeup. They did gift me a load of products, but I also picked some up myself and bought some myself so that I could do that full face. And I want to provide some updates on some of those products. So first up, their new foundation. I'm wearing it today. I'm loving it, okay? So I didn't have time to do a wear test in my Bobbi Brown full face testing because it was my mummy's birthday. Happy birthday, Mummy Holcroft. But it wore very well, actually. I sort of kept a real eye on it for like the first typical 8 hours, and there really was nothing to write home about. My nose was slightly shiny, and that was pretty much it. And then I sort of did a final look in the mirror when I was taking my makeup off, and this was at like probably the 13-hour mark, and I still was impressed. At this point, it really had sort of pretty much worn off of like my nose, the end of my nose. It was a little shinier on my forehead, but my chin was great. It looked so good on the like bulk of my skin. Still, this entire area looked good. You could still see like my blush, which is amazing for a foundation. You really know a foundation is wearing well if you can still see blush, because nothing underneath the blush is gone. That's why the blush is still hanging in there, you know. Really loved it. I think it's so flattering. For me personally, I like something a bit glowier typically for every day, but it does have a really nice natural matte finish. The perfect amount of coverage for me. It feels very lightweight and hydrating as per the claims, and the shade match is perfect. So I'm really loving this still. I was impressed by the wear. Fair play to Bobbi Brown. And the concealer, again, I have the concealer on today. The coverage of this is amazing. I've tried it a good few times now. It wears beautifully. It's slightly creased on me the first time that I used it in that video, slightly, and it did not get worse throughout the day like I feared. It just kind of stayed that tiny amount of creasing initially, but I did build it up that day. What I have learned after using it a few more times is I'll apply this and use a brush and not build it up, so I get the maximum coverage without having to build, and then I don't get creasing. I don't think it's quite as smooth as the Haus Labs, but it's close. It's a really good concealer. The coverage is amazing, like one of the highest levels of coverage that I've had tried from a concealer. Just as high coverage as the Haus Labs. I think the Haus Labs is slightly smoother on my under eyes, but it's a very nice concealer, and I've grown to love it even more. This palette was another of the items that I purchased myself to try, and again, this is so beautiful. It's right up my street with the finishes, and everything is just so gloriously glowy without being glittery or shimmery. I really love the overall effect of this cheek palette. This is the Sculpt and Glow palette, and it features, I think, their regular bronzer formula. Correct me if I'm wrong, it's called just medium bronzer, so I think it's the same as their permanent bronzer. Tell me if I'm wrong, but they all have this beautifully like baked gelée texture, no powderiness, really buildable, super smooth with a little luminosity, and I'm loving this palette. It's gorgeous. So that, if you haven't watched my Bobbi Brown testing video, it was a very successful day. I absolutely loved almost everything I tried. The only thing I didn't really like was the mascara. It just wasn't quite dramatic enough for me, but it was still a nice mascara. You know, I didn't get any flaking, smudging, transfer, any problems at all. I just like myself a bit more of an impact with my mascara, but definitely a brand that's now fully on my radar. Another brand that came back into my life and my radar this month was Kevyn Aucoin with their new Contour Book Volume 4. Very interesting because Kevyn Aucoin has been off my radar for a very long time. It's not a brand I've picked up and tried a lot of lately, and interestingly my video on this palette did really poorly, really poor views, so it feels like my audience have also kind of neglected this brand or are not as interested in this brand as some of the others like Charlotte Tilbury, Natasha Denona. This palette definitely got way less views than if it had been an Hourglass palette, for example. So that's really interesting to me because this is a great palette. It's so comprehensive. You've got setting powders, you've got contour powders, you've got blushes, you've got highlighters. And I know how much we love a palette like this. An all-in-one you can also use on the eyes, and you've got face powders as well. And everything in here is beautiful. Everything feels so buttery and so soft, and everything blended like a dream. We know Kevyn Aucoin, like, they have such a background in like contour and sculpting, and you know their contour powders obviously do not disappoint. They're just the perfect tones. The highlighters are smooth and glowy and right up my street, and I feel like the packaging as well is really solid and luxurious, and it's great value for money. So it's a real shame that people aren't more excited about the brand, because I think this is a great palette and I've been really enjoying it. I don't use everything in there every day. I like to kind of dip in and out, particularly with using maybe the contour powders when I'm in the mood to contour, and it's a great solid palette. I personally would have loved a glowy blush. You know me, I would have loved a glowy blush because both of the blushes in there are like pretty solidly matte. So yeah, that would be the only thing that for me I would change, because it's a great palette. Very natural, very easy to use, very easy going, and like I said, it does everything you could possibly want a palette to do. Next up, let's talk about this blush that I picked up from Dior's, I guess, summer collection. This is Twill Rose, or is it Twill Rose? Twill Rose, I'm so sorry. This is a bit of a sad one for me. It does look very pink, and I had some people comment, oh, it's very, like, that's pink for you. Are you getting into your pinks? And the answer is no. No, I'm not. I tried, and I wasn't really sure how pink it would be based off of the images. So I thought I'm going to try it for myself, but this color just doesn't work for me. I don't know if you can see, it's got quite a lot of like a white base, and it looks so chalky on me. It's too light for my skin tone. It's too pastel-y, and it just really looked very chalky and weird on my cheeks. So this did not work for me just for my skin tone, because it's got so much sheen in it, and it really did not suit me at all. I think if you have a much fairer skin tone and you just love pink more than me, you would love it. But this color, not the formula, I love the glow, I love the formula, the amount of pigmentation, I love that it's like a highlighting blush, that's right up my street, but the color did not suit me. It did not look good. It looked very ashy, and yes, not good. So that was an error on my part. I wasn't a big fan. But what I was a big fan of, and I am, not past tense, present tense and past tense, and hopefully future tense also, all three. The new Hourglass Unreal blushes. Not a product on paper you'd think I would like, okay? Liquid blush, no thank you. Typically a pass from me, but I wanted to try them for science and for you guys and for my liquid cream haters. We're a club, we're a gang, we're a support system. I wanted to see, is this the liquid blush that can convince me to start using this liquid product on a regular basis? Could it possibly make it into my top drawer? And you'll never guess what. It has, okay? Over the years, I know you guys know, I've been trying really hard. I want to join the cream gang. I want to be a liquid and cream girl, but I just can't. I've been trying for years. I've had to accept it. I'm a powder girl, but I'm always trying to see, can I find a cream or a liquid that I can tolerate? And I have found a few over the years that haven't caused me any problems, but I've never got into sort of using them regularly, keeping them in my top drawer. It's always like, yes, it was fine, but I still prefer to apply powder over applying a cream or a liquid. I just find it easier, less stressful. I just enjoy the powder process more. These came along and they are, let me tell you, the first liquid product that's not, you know, a concealer to have made it into my top drawer, my regular everyday rotation. They are so beautiful. And I think it's that beautiful juicy finish along with a very easy application, along with a not overly pigmented formula, so it's not scary to apply, it's not scary or a lot of work to blend them out. They don't end up covering my entire face because I've used too much and it has nowhere to blend. I find them easy, I find them beautiful, I find them buildable at my own pace without any alarm or despair. I think they're great. I love their little travel friendly size. These 100% will be coming with me wherever I go when I travel. They have some gorgeous shades. I know we need more, but they have a beautiful selection, of which I've now got 3 and I love them all. And I find them very easy to use as well, with a little push button on the bottom. I'm a big fan and I did not see this coming. Okay, but I feel proud of myself because I've really been trying and I finally found a liquid blush I can get on board with. It finally happened. But yeah, they are my favourite, without doubt, liquid blushes that I have ever tried. They're glorious. Now, I did promise you I would give these Lancoe Idôle eyeshadow tints another try. These are liquid shadows. I used this for the first time, I think, in my makeup and movies episode, my most recent makeup and movies video, and it was a disaster, but it was mostly, I felt like, my fault. It was a me problem. It wasn't you, it was me. I'm sure of it, because I prepped for eyeshadow as I always do without really thinking that I was using a liquid shadow today. So I used concealer and I set it with powder. I went in with this and it basically removed all of the base and I ended up very patchy and nightmarish and it didn't look good. And I tried to fix it by adding more and then it started like separating, so increasing. So it was a bad day all around for me, but I did feel like it was mostly my fault. And I have since tried these without powder, just either on top of a bit of concealer just to neutralize the redness on my eyelids. And it did work much better. They do dry down quicker than I would like them to. It doesn't leave you a lot of time to blend or move or add or anything like that, because they do dry down quite quickly, but that does make them last quite a while. I've found that you have to use a small amount of these and really blend, otherwise they will crease on me and my 40-year-old eyelids. But I will say I think the Lisa Eldridge ones are much better. They have more impact as far as the colour and the finish. And I don't have these problems with the Lisa Eldridge. They are the perfect amount. You've got the perfect amount of time before they set down, but when they set, they stay, they don't crease. And I find that I can use a small amount, but still have more opacity and impact from them. And I can use them on top of whatever I like, and I didn't have the problems that I had with this one. So I still don't love these. I did do a much better job of it when I kind of learned how to use them more, but I do still prefer the Lisa Eldridge. I think some of it is about the doe foot as well in the Lisa Eldridge one is just better. This is the shade 1, and they are just more subtle. So yeah, they were okay. I did better with them second time around, but they're not a love, and I can't really see myself using it a lot, and I'm definitely not going back for more shades. Okay, that's what I'm saying. Next, let's talk about these Sisley blushes. So you can see there's now 2. They've spawned, unfortunately. So I did do a review. I've had my eye on these blushes for many years. I've looked at them, I've looked at the price tag, I've looked at therapy, and finally I decided I need to know what the deal is with these blushes. Why are they almost £100? What's the reason? What is the reason? There isn't a reason that I found, but I did find a lot of discounts. So I've been getting mine at least half price, and I will never pay £100 for a blush, but I will pay £50 for one for science, which is what I did with that video. And I'm kind of sad that I did it because I absolutely fell head over heels for them. So the first one I picked up that made me go back for more is number 3, Corail. And it's just, I mean, obviously they look stunning, absolutely stunning. I did have a few people say that this picture reminds them of a spider or some kind of sea creature, but I believe it's an orchid. And let me tell you, I'm terrified of spiders. I hate them. I can't be doing with them. They're not allowed anywhere near me in my vicinity. And I have never looked at it and seen a spider. So maybe closer up it's less spidery, I'm not sure. But the thing about these blushes, they're just the most beautiful, softly glowing, lit like a goddess finish of all time. So I did go back for another one. I picked up shade number 1, and this is just as delightful. This is the blush I have on today. They're just so natural. They're so pretty, so elegant and timeless. This one is definitely more neutral than the Corail, which I love. It's just so, again, I think the number 1 is a bit glowier than number 3. So this is 1 and this is 3, and you can see 1 is much more of a neutral shade and 3 is much more coral. They're just so stunning. I have no regrets. I'm really glad that I don't like pink blushes, or I may even have gone back for the third one. I wouldn't pay £100 for them. You can always get at least half price for these blushes, but you get a lot of product, really beautifully elegant, sophisticated, luxurious packaging, and I have no regrets. I love them. They're probably maybe even my favorite blush formula of all time. They're just so pretty and glowy and beautiful and smooth and luminous. It's exactly how I dreamed my cheeks would be one day, you know, as a child. Possibly. I can't remember. Next up, let's talk about Natasha Denona's Mini Rose palette, the eyeshadow palette I have on my peepers today, and I only just used this for the first time mere moments ago. Okay, so this is hot off the press. I did do a review of this palette with my first impressions and this look. If you would like to see it in action, I think this is a gorgeous little quint. It's definitely going to come with me whenever I go to visit family or go away, because I just love taking these little £5. They're so easy and they fit into the tiniest little slot in my makeup case, so they're perfect for travel. And this is exactly, it's just right up my street. These rosy tones, not too pink, not too sparkly, very travel friendly, very easy going if I'm just, you know, nipping out with on a family day. It's not something complicated. It doesn't take a lot of work. You've got some one and done options in there that are just soft and pretty for summer. Very feminine, gorgeous tones that I really love, and some stunning formulas. I'm really happy with it. I don't think it's life-changing. I don't think it's a colour story you probably don't have. Whether or not you have it so cohesively in a £5 that's so perfect for travel will be a personal response. I don't know. Do you? Tell me. I don't. But also, do you really travel with makeup very often? Do you want to? I don't know that either. Okay, I'm not God. Okay, I'm not psychic. I don't know everything, but don't tell my children that, because they think I do. But I'm really happy with it. It was exactly what I was hoping for. And the formulas, Natasha Denona, you can't go wrong. The formulas in there are glorious, and it's right up my street. This duochrome, which I didn't own already, luckily, because it's not in a palette that I have. All 5 of the shades in here, if you didn't watch my review, are from previous palettes, but I didn't have the palette that the Golden Rose shade is in, which I think was the purple blue, was it? You tell me, but I just love it. It's just so pretty, and I could just wear it every day, and it's delightful. So I have no regrets. Next up, let's talk about these little Chanel duos. So we have the Jardin Imaginaire duos. This is Light and Berry, which has been wildly neglected by me ever since my review, because this one, which is Gold and Peach, is by 4,000 miles roughly my favorite. I adore this little duo. I'm so happy with it. It's just perfect. The effect of these 2 shades together on my little cheeks, it's just delightful. Summer perfect. I love Chanel blushes. I love Chanel highlighters. To have one of each in like my perfect shades, I'm flipping beside myself, let me tell you. I did like the light and berry, but I'm just not a berry girl. So I really haven't used this since my review. I will try to use it more in the winter, but the highlighter is a little light and frosty for me in my summer skin tone. So I think I will probably reach for this more. I know these swatches look intense and maybe a little intimidating, but if you watch my review, you'll see they're actually very forgiving, very buildable, very pretty, and I'm getting a lot of use out of the coral one because it's just my preferred shades. That has gone straight in my top drawer and I'm using it a lot on a daily basis. It's so pretty, so easygoing. They work together so beautifully on the skin, and it's such a perfect summer look with, you know, the golds and the corals and the peachy tones. It's just what I love for summer, as you probably can tell. Now let's talk about a surprise disappointment. I feel disappointment is harsh, but I don't know a slightly less harsh word for disappointment. I don't know what it is. I wish that I could think of it, because that feels brutal, and I really thought I would love this product and I wanted to, and I had really high hopes. But it's the Kosas blush. So I picked up one shade, Dreamland, and I think the heart of the problem here is this specific shade on my skin tone. Can you see? I mean, you barely can. This is where I'm going with this. So this is a very glowy blush formula. So sometimes they can be kind of overwhelmed with the glow rather than the blush. So do you see how when I tilt my hand, it goes kind of quite white? And if I tilt it like this way, you can see the blush, but then, and this is what happens on my skin tone. I think this blush is just better off on a much lighter skin tone than me, a fairer skin tone, because then you're going to get mostly colour. But if you have to build it up like I do to get the blush colour, you end up with a lot of that sort of white base, and then it looks grey on my skin, and it just, this colour just doesn't work on my skin tone. I think it's got a gorgeous, smooth, no sparkle, all glow finish. So I'm definitely going to get another shade. I think sometimes I get misled by swatches on people with a fairer skin tone than me, because that shade looked like it should be perfect for me, but I think I'm seeing it swatched on people who have a fairer skin tone, and then I tried it and I was like, oh, this looks off, it looks weird. I'm not really getting much blush, I'm just getting a cast on my skin that looks a little grey, a little ashy. So it's hard. I think I need to try another shade before I make a full final verdict, because I think it deserves another try with another shade, because I know that I should love these on paper and lots of people do, and it should be right up my street, but I think the shade is just not quite the right shade for me. So I think it deserves a second chance. I'm going to give it a second chance because I think the formula potentially could be amazing. The shade just doesn't work for my skin tone. And then we have a couple of lip formulas this month that really were big wins and big loves for me. First of all, we have the new Burberry Shine lipsticks. I initially purchased this in the shade the red, right? Is that right? The red, 106, the red. And she's beautiful. So I just got one shade that was kind of something I don't have a lot of. I don't have a lot of shiny reds. So I thought, get something different. If I like the formula, I'll go back for more. And I instantly went back for more. I got a couple of more sort of nude everyday shades because I love the formula. The packaging is beautiful. It's got this gorgeous, really highly pigmented amount of colour. The colours, the shades, there's a lot of shades to choose from. I picked up Kensington Crush and another one that I forget. Beautiful shades. I've been wearing them in my videos, so I'm sure you've seen them either here or over on Instagram if you want to see these on my lips, but that just look at that shine, and they feel very hydrating. They've got a lot of pigment to them. I said before, I do prefer the Lisa Eldridge to these. I know a lot of people will ask me about that because they just have that jelly finish, the Lisa Eldridge, that I prefer to this. Is more of a classic shine, and these are much more highly pigmented. The Lisa Eldridge ones are a bit more easygoing for every day, a bit more buildable as opposed to full opacity off the bat. But these are lovely. As I said, I went back for more shades. They absolutely have a place in my drawers and in my lipstick loving heart as well. I really like them. I think they're gorgeous and I'm super happy with them. And then finally, I picked up one shade of the new Fenty Gloss Bomb Sticks. Is that correct? Yes, Gloss Bomb Sticks with an X, because we're down with the kids and we love misspelling stuff. It makes us cool, apparently. So I got the shade Spice Cold and it is perfect. I was kind of struggling with the swatches. I think some of them are a bit confusing and they kind of were misleading as to what they actually were like in reality. This is the perfect everyday nude. I love this shade. It's beautiful. They smell unbelievable. It's just sweetie heaven around here. They smell amazing. They have a lovely shine. These are much more like the Lisa Eldridge in the amount of pigment, maybe slightly more pigmented than her Balm Embraces, but still really comfortable, really hydrating, gorgeous amount of shine, really, really lovely and juicy on the lips. Again, I do prefer the Lisa Eldridge, but there's just something about the finish of those things. I don't know what she put in there, but they are so buttery and like glossy, and I don't even know how to describe it, but there's something about the finish of those that just keeps topping everybody. But these are lovely, really nice to wear, really easygoing handbag, little numbers, no stickiness. Really, really nice from Fenty. And there you have it. That is everything, or my thoughts on everything that I tried new to me in the month of July. So please let me know what you tried in July that is like your new favorite thing. Did you have any fails? Give me all of the tea. Did you have any absolute flops? Please let us know everything that you tried in July, your #1 favorite, or if you had a big fail, let us know in the comment section down below. But I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I'd love to see you in the next one. Otherwise, take care for now. Bye 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 bye.